Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely transformative. We're going to look at how you can literally upgrade your brain's software to break free from that exhausting, endless loop of negative overthinking. You know the one. If you've ever felt completely trapped by your own mind, well, consider This Explainer your technical manual for breaking out. We're going to systematically break down the actual science of how our thoughts work, and far more importantly, how we can deliberately restructure them. Let's get into it. Okay, let's kick things off with a totally wild number, 80,000. Researchers actually estimate that, as human beings, we experience somewhere between 60,000 and 80,000 thoughts every single day. Just pause and think about that volume for a second. That is a constant, relentless stream of internal dialogue just chattering away in the background of your life, literally from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep. But here is the truly startling reality of how those 80,000 thoughts actually break down. Studies suggest that a massive 80% of our daily thoughts are negative. 80%! And it goes deeper than that. Around 95% of the thoughts you're having today are just reruns from yesterday. We are basically running on a deeply ingrained, highly negative autopilot. That tiny 5% slice left over? That is the only room we naturally leave for entirely new, positive thinking. All right, so let's move into Section 1, the brain that rewires itself. We're moving beyond the fixed mindset here. To really grasp this, we have to realize that while our negative thoughts feel like cold, hard objective truths, they're actually often just ingrained biological habits. They're just running automatically, right below your conscious awareness. And that brings us to the ultimate silver lining, neuroplasticity. This is the brain's incredible capability to change its own physical structure through experience, practice, and conscious effort. I really want to emphasize this heavily because it completely removes the shame of negative thinking. Look, if you overthink, it is not a character flaw. It's literally just biology. Your brain is simply a machine that learned a pattern. And because of neuroplasticity, you have the profound power to manually rewire how your mind works. This brilliantly illustrates one of the most important scientific paradigm shifts of the past few decades. See, from most of history, the old belief was that the adult brain was essentially fixed. Scientists honestly thought that the neural architecture laid down in your childhood was completely permanent. Like concrete that had set. But we now know this is entirely wrong. The new discovery is that the brain is highly malleable. It changes physically in response to what we repeatedly think, feel, and do. Your brain isn't concrete, it's clay. To understand how this works mechanically, we gotta look at a principle known as Hebb's rule. The rule simply states, neurons that fire together wire together. In practical terms, this means habitual negative thinking, like constantly criticizing yourself or ruminating on a tiny mistake, actually deepens the physical neural grooves in your brain. It makes those negative patterns more automatic. But here's the magic. The exact reverse is also true. Deliberately practicing different, healthier thoughts actually builds entirely new, stronger neural pathways. Moving on to Section 2, the 5 most common thought traps. Let's identify the cognitive villains of our story. So before we can build those new pathways, we have to spot the villains that are blocking us. Cognitive behavioral therapy points out a few recurring thought errors. The first trap, catastrophizing. This is where your brain leaps from a highly specific, super small event, like a single mistake at work, to the absolute worst possible catastrophic outcome. It totally skips over all the realistic possibilities in between. It is literally your brain violently hitting the panic button over a minor bump in the road. Like assuming one typo in an email means you're going to be out on the street. Next up is all or nothing thinking. This trap forces us to see the world in harsh black and white terms with zero middle ground. If it's not a complete, flawless success, well then it's a total disaster. There's no in between. It completely erases the whole concept of a learning curve or simply being good enough. Then we have mind reading. Oh, we all do this one. This is where we falsely assume we know exactly what others are thinking. Notice how when we mind read, we almost never assume someone is just busy, right? Or, struggling to open a heavy door. No, we immediately assume they are intensely angry, disappointed, or judging us. Our fourth villain is labeling. This happens when a specific, isolated event is unfairly weaponized into a fixed, global judgment about our entire character. Forgetting an appointment is an event. It happens. Labeling yourself as useless because of it, that's a total, sweeping, and fundamentally inaccurate attack on yourself. The final trap is personalizing. This one tricks us into blaming ourselves for external things that are completely outside of our control. It's the assumption that everything going on around you is entirely about you. A dinner party could be awkward for 100 different reasons, but personalizing ensures you take the full, heavy weight of the blame.
Okay, Section 3, breaking the cycle. This is the antidote to overthinking. Let's get into how we actually fix this.
Let's look at how we fight back and start carving out those new pathways. This brings us to the highly effective stop, notice, reframe technique. When you catch a distressing thought, you execute this 3-step process. Step 1, stop. Literally just pause. Remember, you are not the thought, you're the observer of the thought. Step 2, notice. Name it. Say to yourself, this is catastrophizing. Naming it strips away its power. And step 3, reframe. Replace it with a balanced thought. Not a falsely positive, toxic positivity, everything is perfect kind of thought, but a realistic one. Something like, I made a mistake, it's not ideal, but I can fix it. Now, I want to be totally upfront with you. This will feel deeply artificial at first. It's going to feel clunky. That's just because the new neural pathway is weak. But with repetition, I promise you, it becomes completely natural. Now, we absolutely have to destroy a really common myth. A lot of us use self-criticism as a motivational tool, right? Like we're whipping ourselves into shape. But leading researcher Dr. Kristen Neff has found something wonderfully counterintuitive. Self-criticism actually undermines performance and resilience. It's self-compassion, literally treating yourself with kindness, that genuinely improves your performance and makes you far more resilient in the face of failure. It sounds wild, but the data backs it up. So I really want you to pause and think about this for a second. If your close friend came to you struggling with the exact same mistake or fear you are currently facing, what would you say to them? You definitely wouldn't call them useless. You'd speak with warmth, understanding, and grace. The real challenge here is learning to offer yourself that exact same grace. Another incredibly powerful tool for breaking the cycle comes from psychologist James Pennebaker. His research demonstrates that just 20 minutes of expressive writing, just honestly dumping your raw thoughts and feelings onto a piece of paper, produces measurable improvements in your mood and cognitive clarity. It takes the heavy emotional load out of your working memory and puts it on the page. It's essentially like clearing up your mental RAM so your brain can actually process things clearly again.
Bringing us to Section 4, action steps for rewiring. Here is your daily blueprint for a better mind.
Let's translate all of this theory into a highly achievable daily blueprint. First, try this incredibly powerful linguistic shift. Instead of saying, I am a failure or I am anxious, try shifting your language to, I notice I am having the thought that I'm a failure. Do you feel a difference there? It slows you down. This tiny, tiny adjustment creates a vital protective distance between your core identity and the passing thought. It dramatically reduces the thought's automatic power over you. So here is your summary, your ultimate daily debug patch for the brain. First, start a thought diary. Even if it's just once a day, write down a negative thought. Identify the cognitive trap and reframe it. Second, practice that self-compassion test whenever you feel the urge to self-criticize. Think of the friend. Third, try setting a timer for 20 minutes of unedited, expressive writing just to clear your mental load. And fourth, constantly practice naming your thoughts to create that vital distance we just talked about. I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Read it. Really internalize it. If your closest friend was having the thoughts you are currently having about yourself right now, what would you say to them? Remember, you are entirely capable of upgrading your mental software. You just have to start actively wiring the pathways you actually want to use. Keep learning, keep rewiring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.